Podcast, the go-to show for small carriers, truck drivers, investors, and business owners in the trucking industry. Today, we have a special guest in the building. We have Richie, founder of Peer Truck,
The
Peer
Facebook
trucker.
group Peer
Fa-
Trucker New York, New Jersey.
New York, New Jersey, and he's gonna touch on the topic of drivers' pay, classifications of owner operators, independent contractors, and yeah, we're gonna dive right in. Of course, I'm with my co-host Melissa,
Hello.
and we're gonna dive right into the topic with Richie. So Richie, please introduce yourself, introduce your Facebook group, and tell us a little bit about what you do.
All right, my name is Richie, and 6 years ago, now 7 years ago, I made a Facebook group. It was called originally Container Port Driver, and then I changed it to Peer Trucker New York, New Jersey. But I made this Facebook group because when I first started driving as a port driver, I found out that there was a problem, and it was that the drivers weren't able to communicate with each other. We didn't have a common place, a town center, where we can share ideas, ask questions, ask for help, buy and sell products. We didn't have that center, so I made this Facebook group, and now it's up to almost 8,000 drivers there. Not everybody there is a driver. We have some company owners, we have some freight forwarders in there, longshoremen are in there, and other people who sell services to truck drivers are in there as well. But the whole purpose of the Facebook group was to create a town center where people could come together and ask questions and help each other out. Report if there's a problem in APM terminals or in MAR terminal. Report when there's traffic jams on a street or a highway. Tell us when a way station's open. Avoid this place. So we can help each other out. Build a sense of community.
Nice.
Basically, some communication, which we all know is very important in the trucking
Exactly.
industry.
Yeah,
Communication,
communication is key.
Tell us a little bit about your experience in the trucking industry.
So I started driving. I got my CDL in 2015 when I left the military. And I started driving with Warner Enterprises over the
Okay.
road for 2 years. And I was on a dedicated account from Buffalo, New York, all the way to JFK, New York City, with a stop in the middle in Elizabeth. So, as
Did
we
you drive
all,
by yourself or a team?
I was by myself.
Okay.
So, as we all know, when you first start out, you have to go with the mega carrier because they're the only ones who could hire drivers with no experience because they're self-employed. So I did that for 2 years. I drove with Warner for 2 years. And
How
then
was that?
it was, I had no complaints with Warner. Warner,
Okay.
it was I was spoiled.
Okay.
I was on a dedicated route from Buffalo to JFK, and I memorized the entire way. I would put the truck on cruise control, and I would just
Autopilot.
autopilot. I would just be there staring, not listening to music, relax.
And
was
just to clarify, you were a company driver.
I was a company driver. Yeah, the
Okay.
easiest job I've ever had was that.
Nice.
Okay.
But the bad part was it was at night. So I had no vitamin D. I got real pale. It was just bad for my health, real bad.
My story now. I'm driving at night now.
Yeah,
Okay.
driving nights is easy. It's better because there's less traffic.
Right.
There's when you stop driving, it's daytime. Everybody else is driving, so you have spots in the parking lot.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
when
the
you're
truck
first
stop.
getting started, avoiding all that traffic, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
yeah.
is a benefit.
And I was so scared to drive in New York City. I was brand new. I remember the first day I was driving in New York City. I had my phone GPS, the company GPS, my personal GPS, a map over here just in case because
A map.
driving
map.
driving in New York is like going through a minefield. You
Right.
don't, if you turn down the wrong street, you could be hit. You
In
could be
real
stuck.
trouble.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
how I drive now with my Google Maps and my truck GPS for sure.
Yeah.
But then I quit Warner and then I started driving for Teresi, hauling gasoline. I hydroplaned one day. I got into a huge accident. They
Oh, wow.
fired me.
Oh, wow.
I moved on. It's how you pick yourself up. It's not how you fall, right?
Yeah.
And then I started working for a company called Best Transportation.
Okay.
Okay.
And
And-
yeah, we all know that company, right? W-2 company driver. But
They
then
pull containers. from
they
the
pull
port, right?
containers, yeah. And I started to notice that everybody was an owner operator, everybody was an independent contractor, and I was like, oh man, I want to be an independent contractor too. I want to be my own boss,
Right.
right? We all had that
Everybody wants to
dream,
be
that
their own
ambitious. We want to be an entrepreneur, be our own boss, work for ourselves. So I went out for a Freightliner dealership in Cranberry, New Jersey. We passed by it all the time on the turnpike.
Okay.
And I bought a truck. I financed it. A Freightliner Cascadia, 2015.
How did you even think about getting your CDL? How did you get into trucking? Do you
Oh,
have any family members?
No, no. I was in the military, in the Navy, and I got hurt one day. I was on a submarine when I was in the Navy.
Okay.
And I got hurt one day, so I got submarine disqualified for a few months until I healed. And they put you in a place called XDiv. It's where all the injured people go. When they can't do their job, they go to the XDiv. And when you're in XDiv, they give you like odd jobs, painting, cleaning around the base. You know, my job was to drive a truck,
Okay.
but it was a pickup truck with a trailer. And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of inspired me to get my CDL because I really liked driving the truck with the trailer. I
Okay,
enjoyed
okay.
it. And that inspired me to get my CDL.
Okay. So keep telling us about your experience at Best.
So, you know, eventually I quit Best. You know, it was okay company. They pay by the move. It's a W-2 company, but they pay by the move.
Okay.
So I really wasn't happy there. So I got my own truck, and I was excited to be an independent contractor. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be my own boss, right? The first company I went to work for was Golden Carriers.
Okay.
I lasted there for about 6 months. I had a dispute with the owner. Long story short, I asked him a naive question. You know, I was naive. I was like, sir, how can I verify that I'm getting paid 70% if you don't show me the receipt?
The rate confirmation.
The way he spoke to me,
Transparency.
the way he spoke
clarity.
to me was very, very rude. Very rude. And then another instance was I had a shirt. My friend gave me a shirt. My friend does hip hop music. And he has a shirt that says, you know, F stress, live free, right? It had the F word on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wore it to work, and I drove my truck and delivered to the warehouse. And when I come into the office, the owner of the company was like, that shirt says F. It has a curse word on it. Don't wear it again when you come work here. And I'm like, I thought I was an independent contractor. I thought I worked for myself, right? Why? How are you telling me what I could wear? I'm self-employed. So that was one of the things that kind of opened up my eyes. Then I quit that company and I worked for another company, TMX. I was happy there. I liked it. But still, you know, I didn't feel independent though. I read the contract one day. I was just bored, you know, my truck. I read the contract and it says you can't work for nobody else but me because you're under you're under my insurance
Insurance.
policy.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started saying to myself, okay, so I'm independent, but I can't work for nobody else. So
And how were you being paid in these
I was
companies?
being paid a percentage.
But with a 1099 or a
Yeah,
W-2?
1099, yes.
Okay.
1099.
But you never saw a rate confirmation, so you never really knew if that percentage was the true
Yeah,
percentage.
so
for you.
yeah, and I asked the boss one day, the manager, I said, the fuel surcharge, how can I verify that I'm getting the fuel surcharge if I don't see the rate con? Oh, no, don't worry, take my word for it, you're getting it. Okay,
Yeah,
I
that's
want me
that
to take
gray
my word
area
for
that
you.
nobody really likes.
I spoke to a guy one time on Facebook. He says, "Yeah, I worked for a company. The owner kept the fuel surcharge for himself. That's the money he used to pay the workers in the office. Yeah, he didn't give the drivers a fuel surcharge.
I don't think
And
that's right. Like,
There's a lot of exploitation happening in trucking.
And talk about your fees because I just filed taxes. I filed taxes for Supesos. Shout out to Supesos. I just filed taxes for a driver, an owner operator who worked for Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of fees that he had insurance fees. You guys have they charge them for the IFTA fees. They charge
that's what I'm
them
saying.
for
Like,
and
if you have this if you have this authority, why am I paying for IFTAs? Like, you should be paying because
did you ever have like an obscene amount of
No, I did
fees?
my own IFTAs. I did my own 2290 highway vehicle tax.
Mm-hmm.
I did my own registration, my own plates and everything. But I struggled though. I struggled. It was hard for me to balance working and getting those things done at the same time. There was cases where I had to take days off work just to get the truck registered in Trenton. I had to take days off work just to do that 2290 heavy highway vehicle tax, the IFTAs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had to take time off to do the maintenance. And I wanted to show you guys something. You're saying, you know, it's not my truck. Why am I paying for it? Here, according to Cornell, Legal Information Institute, this is the federal leasing agreement. This is the requirement that all lease agreements should be designed for. And it says the lease shall further provide that the motor carrier shall assume complete responsibility for the operation and equipment of the truck. Here it says that the trucking company has to be responsible for the maintenance, for the fuel, for the IFTA,
the
registration.
trucking company, the company that you would work for.
Yeah, the employer, the motor carrier is supposed to be responsible for all that.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
Says it right all here.
So did you ever try to get your MC? Like, what kept you
No.
leased to these companies?
I was speaking to drivers. I was speaking to people with their own MC authority, and I hear them complaining all the time. Like, I gotta fight this guy just to pay me detention time. I gotta fight this guy just to pay the lumper. I gotta fight just to, and then you have to wait 60. You have to wait like what?
Not all the time.
30 days to
You
get
can,
paid.
You can get
A factoring
Factoring
company, but then they
company,
take a percentage.
right.
They
So
take, yeah,
everybody
percentage.
has their hands in your pocket.
right.
Everybody,
Right.
yeah.
And I said to myself, what's the point of having my own MC authority if I gotta fight the brokers just to pay me, and then I gotta pay a percentage to the factoring company just to get me paid the same day?
Yeah, that's right.
I said, you know what? I'm gonna be a W-2 company driver. I'm gonna find a company that pays me by the hour, and that's it. And I did that, and I'm as happy as a dog. My tail is wagging. I'm happy, dude. I'm happy. I
Right.
drive a good truck. It's in good condition. I get paid by the hour.
Now, Richie.
I get paid time and a half after 40.
I hear
I'm
that.
not in the port driving like a maniac trying to get to my spot. You know, I see other drivers doing that, dude, and I'm just like, okay, you want to skip me? Fine, I'm
Come
good.
cool and collect.
It's,
you.
it's the
And I'm
truth.
saying every single port driver should be paid an hourly wage.
Right.
They definitely should, because I've been in the port and sometimes you spend hours there for whatever reason. You're just there sitting,
I was
and
just
if you're
about to
getting
ask
paid by
that.
the move, it's like, okay, hop out if I.
And then we point the finger at the longshoreman and say, it's your fault. It's your fault that I'm taking a pay cut because you're not working
and
fast
it's really
enough.
not.
And it's really not.
It's really not.
These
Did you wanna share
longshoremen say,
something?
Rich, tell these drivers to work by the hour so they can stop hating us.
So, Richie,
Facts.
how long would you say people wait for detention time at the port?
Okay, so the rule is, this is the unspoken etiquette of the industry. The rule is, if you're doing a single move, depositing or withdrawing a container from the port, you gotta wait 2 hours. That doesn't include the time that you spent waiting out in line.
Right. Those lines could get
That
crazy.
that time starts when you get to the kiosk.
Now,
Right?
see, I think that you guys should be getting paid the minute you step foot in your truck.
Right. Yeah, I
Makes
agree with
sense,
that,
right?
too.
It makes sense.
And so you currently work for a company that
Yeah.
pays you in that manner
By the hour, yeah.
by the hour. So as soon as you step in your truck, you're being paid.
As soon as I log in to do pre-trip inspection, the clock starts.
Okay. And now you're happy in this situation.
I'm happy as a dog.
Okay.
My tail is wagging.
nice.
You know, having that security that your time is going to be compensated for is very
Peace of mind.
right. You have a peace of mind. You don't. There's no need for you to be rushing. Like some of the accidents and the tragedies that happen on the road are because drivers are rushing to complete more than one move so their day could be worth it. We all know fuel is super expensive. Maintenance, if you own your truck, you have to be responsible for your maintenance, and you have to take care of your truck, because without your truck working and being, good, you're not gonna make any money. So you have to always be on the go, rush. Or you probably don't even have time to eat or to use the bathroom, because you have to make sure that you make it back in time to your receiver, to your shipper, or back to the port, because you know that detention time is not guaranteed.
So what are some other benefits of being a W-2 driver? You guys get benefits. You
Yeah,
guys
we
have
get
health
we get
insurance,
benefits. I got 1
retirement?
week. I got 1 week paid vacation by law. You got to get 1 week paid vacation. Sick days.
Right?
That's by law. I get offered medical insurance and dental insurance and vision. I'm cut, but the most important part is I want to really mention this. Is when you're an employee, you are covered under federal and state labor laws. One of the ones that I want to mention is the National Labor Relations Act. The National Labor Relations Act says that all employees have a right to organize. The ILA, they're all employees and they're organized. And all the truck drivers are independent contractors. And guess what? Because they're not employees, they can't organize. Because it'll be a violation of antitrust.
Right. So I think it's a lot of lack of information. If somebody were to really explain to them and break it down to them and make them understand that fact right there, and that together they can accomplish way more, because like look what the ILA accomplished. Like,
And also,
they got what they asked for.
I want to tell you something too, Melissa. Technically, you don't have to be paid minimum wage. When you're an independent contractor, you don't have to be paid minimum wage. They could pay you less than minimum wage because you're not covered under the FLSA.
There's a
The
lot
Fair
of-
Labor Standard Act says that all employees must be paid according to the federal minimum wage, which is low. But here in New Jersey, it's $15 and some change. They rose it, and it goes up as inflation goes up. They've made that law specifically designed that the more inflation there is, the more you're gonna get paid.
Yeah, and just like another word into the unions themselves, if you're just an independent worker, just the one single person, like if you're confronting your boss about like the conditions of your work, you're just the one person. Like they can easily just
Get rid
flick
of you.
Yeah, flick you like a peg. But through unions, you have collective power, collective bargaining. You argue and you assert your interests as a collective body, as workers united, and through that, this is like no one ever talks about this. Like, and as you said, like there's like an information like barrier here.
Right.
Like through union organizing and establishing it and building it up, you're able to attain higher wages, greater benefits, and like of course, most importantly, like enhanced job security. So
Right.
because you have your fellow workers backing you up, because you all recognize that you all have the same interests, you all have the same like job, so you have much more to gain working together, being on your side than being at each other's throats.
And
Yeah.
that's very important. I think that's the main reason why we are all working, to be able to provide for our family and to have that job security. Nobody wants to wake up one morning and go to work as an independent contractor, and you have a load, and then somebody else comes under you and charges them less than for that day. That's it. It's over. You don't have any work.
That's why we want to create a standard. One contract that will cover all of the port drivers, and we want all the companies to abide by that standard. And companies who don't abide by that standard cannot do business with the ports of New York and New Jersey.
And it's really not that radical because, like you said, that we had this system already before deregulation, and I don't think that as impossible as it might feel now, that it is impossible to get you guys organized.
Yeah, like in the history of the American labor movement, and I'm talking like in the era of like let's say the Great Depression era, like the Communist Party, just to like root back from like previous discussion, with the way like the strategy that they involved themselves in with industrial labor organizing, like they called it industrial unionism, where the strategy is like one industry, one factory, one union, not keeping ourselves divided and having like multitudes of like little unions per like every single company, rather encompassing the entire sector, having one contract that represents all of the workers like within this area. Essentially, it's like all workers, like if you're a trucker, you have like a second constitution along with the American Constitution, guaranteeing your rights as a worker. And that's ultimately like what we want at the end of the day, like to make sure that all the workers are abiding by the same rules, like treated equally, like with respect, and like have their rights guaranteed.
And you know what, too? The companies would like this. And I'm going to tell you why the companies would love this. Because they're tired of people undercutting them. If you had the option to be part of an organization that paid you good and offered you benefits, what's the point of me getting my own MC authority? What's the point? Because when I get my own MC authority, I'm going to undercut all the other companies just to gain more work, just to survive. What we want to do is limit the competition, because competition is what lowers the rates.
So let's also clarify this. Everyone is referring to drivers, who work for companies. Either you're getting paid a 1099 or W-2. So there's also carriers with their own MC that can either pay their drivers W-2 and 1099. And just from experience, I've had drivers, I've given them the option of being paid W-2 and 1099, and most drivers choose to get paid the higher rate of on a 1099 versus a standard rate with benefits. So it's all tailored to how the driver chooses to organize their lives, their careers, because most of these people who do get into the industry with their own MC have a vision for their companies and their employees. Is those that get in the industry with their MC that have no idea of what it takes or are not educated enough in what that independence actually is entails, that kind of like get lost or kind of like lose the company or fail to really like succeed in the industry. So being educated, being kind of like informed on all these different things, like we mentioned, like there is opportunity for small carriers to provide health benefits and paid vacations to your drivers. But if the drivers decides that they want to get paid the higher rate, then that's up to the driver. That's
That's
completely
what I was
up to
gonna
the
say.
driver.
That these small carriers should provide that option for their employees and make it clear to them. Like, listen, if you choose this option, this is what it will be, and if you choose the different route, then you're not gonna
Unfortunately, and you got to be real careful because I'm gonna give you two cases. The Supreme Court said that the employee does not have the right to waive away their FLSA rights. What that means is they don't have the right to choose, oh, I want you to pay me a 1099. You got to tell that driver, no, you're an employee. You got to be paid W-2. 1099s are paid out to independent contractors. And if you're not legitimately independent, I cannot pay you a 1099.
But
And
that's only if they're getting in your truck. But if they have their own truck, it's different.
Look at what happened to STG Logistics. STG Logistics was a company previously called XPO Drayage. STG Logistics was sued by the New Jersey Department of Labor. All their drivers were leased on owner-operators. They were all paid a 1099. New Jersey went after them and said, you are misclassifying your workers as independent contractors, and they lost. Now,
whose trucks were they driving?
their own truck, yeah.
Okay.
So
The state of New Jersey does not recognize the leased owner-operator as an independent contractor. And I spoke to somebody at the Department of Labor, and I asked him, sir, if I own my own truck and I dictate my own schedule and I do my taxes as an independent contract, I gave him the best cutout view of me being independent. He says to me, I don't care if you own the truck or not. Whoever DOT number is on your truck, you are their employee. He told me with his own words, and my mouth dropped. It dropped because he basically said, we don't care. You are an employee. And they proved it by going after STG Logistics. Now what they're going to do is they're going to take that case and they're going to use it as a precedent and says, listen, if you guys don't change your ways, you're going to end up just like STG Logistics. So you better change your way.
I
We should
definitely
definitely
saw
look
an
into that.
article about the FMCSA. They're trying to put together a task force
to
to
get rid
end
of
the lease owner
I spoke to them. I spoke to them over the phone.
Okay.
They were having a big press conference. There was people on the stage. There was a table. They were there. They were talking about it, and I called in and said, I told them my story. And then guess who called me afterwards? Todd Spencer of Owida says, Rich, I want you to send me your lease. Send me your lease contract. I want to see it.
Y'all better tighten up. Companies, y'all better tighten up. They coming
over.
after you.
It's over. The leased owner operator model is over. Now listen, I'm not saying that you have to sell your truck.
right.
You could actually keep your truck. The only difference is that the motor carrier has to give you a 2-check system. They got to pay you a 1099 for the lease of your truck and a W-2 for your time. And that's how you can remain an owner-operator, but at the same time classified as an employee. You don't have to sell your truck.
Information.
A lot of people think that I got to sell my truck now and drive the company truck. No. You can continue driving your truck. The only difference is that once you start your clock, you're going to get paid a W-2 for the hours you work, and then a separate check for the leasing of your truck.
So kind of like how Uber kind of like pays their drivers. So with the 1099 NEC, and then it pays them with the 1099K, which is what they made. The 1099K is what they made through the app, and then the 1099 NEC is what they made,
That's a different case. Uber has a lot of money, and they found a way to get themselves a cutout from California AB5. California passed this law. It's called the ABC test. And we failed the B prong. New Jersey has also passed it here in New Jersey. But we failed the B prong. The B prong practically says, if you are an independent contractor, why are you working for the competition? You're supposed to be competing with them, not working for them. That's what the B prong says.
Right.
And it makes a lot of sense too, right? If you're independent, why are you working for the company? Why? You're supposed to be out there looking for your own loads. You're
Right.
supposed to
'Cause
have.
it's easier to go join a company that
Exactly.
has already established
Exactly. Yep.
business.
I know
Yeah, and a
people
lot of
don't want to
people
hear
don't know
this.
the MC process.
People don't want to hear this. I
and
know.
stuff.
And it's not
Companies don't
easy.
want to hear it. The lease owner operators don't want to hear it. But this is how you stay compliant with laws. New Jersey wants their compensation, their unemployment compensation and workers' compensation replenished, and they think of us as leeches. You know, we're a drain to the system because when the pandemic happened, a lot of drivers were trying to collect unemployment benefits. Well, guess what? Now New Jersey wants you to start paying up. When the shit hits the fan, well, excuse my language, when poop hits the fan, they want you to be able to collect the safety net. They want you to be able to utilize the safety net that's there available, but they also want you to pay for it as well.
Right.
Right.
It's real easy to lease onto a company that already established relationships with shippers and brokers.
And there's
Is-
nothing wrong with being a W-2. Look at me, guys. I became a W-2 and I'm happy.
I'm
I
super
love
happy
it.
too.
I love it.
It's all about taxes.
I'm super
Employers
happy.
pay taxes.
I love
Employees
being
pay
a company
taxes.
driver. W-2 all the way.
For sure. I
love
can't wait to
W2.
go on this vacation.
They call me Mr. W-2 on Facebook.
That is super funny. But you know, there's so many. Excuse my voice. There's so much information, lack of information in the trucking industry that I'm glad that we had you guys here to provide that for everybody. And if you're looking to get into the business, again, educate yourself. Don't just go off this person told me that. Like, actually do your due diligence and investigate which way you want to go about it. You can go ahead and be an independent contractor, but you have to get your MC so you could be a real independent contractor. Get your own business, not piggyback
And
off
before
of.
you do that, make sure you know how to find customers because I know
Exactly.
people who hit me up. I bought the truck. I got my own cargo insurance, my own DOT number. How do I find customers?
You can't just jump into the trucking business like overnight. First of all, you need capital for your company just sitting there just in case anything goes wrong. Buying a truck, that's the least of your worries. Finding the work to move that truck and to make that money so you don't go crazy later on like, oh my God, I got all this debt. You didn't do your due diligence. You didn't do your homework. So educate yourself and really, really think about what you're getting into because this is not easy. Social media has glamorized it. Want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be your own boss, but are you ready to take losses? Big losses?
I'm
Because
not.
trucking ain't for the weak.
I'm not. Nope. I don't want the risk. You take it. I don't want it. I
Do
don't
you
want it.
do you is your peace of mind does your peace of mind have a price? Does your peace of mind have a price?
So that wraps up our episode for today. Make sure you catch us on YouTube, subscribe, like, and share. Please share. This is very important information. Today's topic was great. Thank you, Richie, for giving us
Yes,
many
yes.
gems and sharing so much value, especially with the laws and trucking. Again, catch us on YouTube, the 95 Trucking Podcast, on Instagram, the 95 Trucking Podcast. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.